I want to thank the organizers of this Population Day for giving me the honor, doing me the honor of chairing this program. So I'd like to say that the World Population Day is very dear to our heart. It's a very important event in the calendar of government. So I deem that it is really good that today and the theme, prioritizing rights and choices, harnessing opportunities, the road to a resilient future for all, is very, very apt at this time of the history of our country. So Letitia Appiah, Executive Director, Mr. Barnabas Issa, UNFPA Country Rep, Professor Kranchi from RIPS, and in Ghana, I hear we've learned from Nigeria, if you don't want to step on toes, you say all protocols observed. So it is my pleasure to be chairing this program, and I will hand over to the MC, and if I have any more remarks, I will do that at the close of the program. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much for the apt remarks. So ladies and gentlemen, it is very important for me to also welcome the Executive Director of the National Population Council, Dr. Letitia Appiah, to give us a welcome address as MPC is hosting us for this year's celebration of World Population Day. A round of applause for the Executive Director.
Madam Chairperson, Mr. Barnabas Issa, Country Rep, UNFPA, Prof. Kwanche, ACP Owusu Achreme, Director DOFSU, Madam Teresa Opon Mensah, Director SHEP, Dr. Ismail Indefuna, Deputy Rep, UNFPA, all dignitaries here present, staff of the National Population Council. Let me here say that our guest speaker will join us shortly. Heads of supporting institutions, the media, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to welcome you all to our 2022 World Population Day celebration themed Prioritizing Rights and Choices, Harnessing Opportunities, the Road to a Resilient Future for All. Madam Chair, we have met today to celebrate World Population Day, a day set aside by the UN to assess the health of our population and to address barriers to optimal individual and population health as a contribution in building a resilient nation. Health is a precondition for quality education and skill acquisition, both which are pillars for building resilient nations. Madam Chair, responses to presentations made during the Meet the Press briefing organized by the Ministry of Information last week, other media engagements, and a statement that will be read on the floor of Parliament today by the Chairman of the Select Committee on Health, Honorable Dr. Nana Ayu Afriye, MP Efiduasia Sokore constituency, affirmed the need to reduce and subsequently eliminate one of the main barriers in human capital development, that is teenage pregnancy and child marriage. According to the Ghana Health Service, over 110,000 teenage pregnancies are recorded annually. Madam Chair, whether planned or not, teenage pregnancies have potential complications. They may end up in unsafe abortions and/or HIV, child abandonment, high mortalities and morbidities with long-term sequelae. Apart from mental and physical health complications, families and communities are compelled to deal with high social and financial costs. Costs becomes a social problem. This may increase our healthcare bill and stress our healthcare workforce and infrastructure. This may also increase our educational bill and contribute to poor educational outcomes and performance. Additionally, it may increase our unemployment situation, among others. Madam Chair, in the light of these, can we as a nation continue to ignore this, or can we decide to deal with it differently? The cost of adolescent childbearing, or in other words, children having children, impacts society as a whole. The adolescents pass the cost of taking care of themselves and their babies to taxpayers. The cost to taxpayers does not just mean cost during pregnancy or for infants, but through to about 15 years. And if we are not lucky, she will decide to burden taxpayers with another baby and other associated costs. They pass the cost of raising their children and society. So in effect, teenage pregnancy and child marriage is a societal problem. The financial cost to society is manifested in twofold. Financial losses from the limited teenagers' contribution to national development due to insufficient or average education and increased expenses in social service provision. To this end, our engagement today will focus on what we need to do in a concerted manner to decisively address this canker and in the process improve our health and efficiently improve the quality of human capital sustainably for Ghana beyond aid. We need a national campaign to prevent teenage pregnancy, child marriage, and unplanned pregnancies. I guess many will be asking, how will this benefit me? So I have tried to outline some benefits. To our midwives, obstetricians, gynecologists, and pediatricians, the benefits are instant. Reduced workload and quality care for those who need the care. To our economists, it will reduce the per capita in the GDP per capita, and thus increase the GDP per capita to improve the quality of life of citizens. To the health sector, it will reduce mortalities and morbidities, thus improve health outcomes at a reduced cost, and inadvertently contribute to savings in families and our NHIS. To the Ghana AIDS Commission, it will reduce the incidence of HIV and related social and economic implications. It will make it easier for us to meet our 1990 targets. To the educational sector, a reduction in the number of children would ease the burden on educational facilities, including teacher-people ratio, quality school feeding, leading to improved quality outcome and skill development. And to the Ministry of Employment and Social Welfare, it will reduce the number of unemployed and underemployed, thereby reducing the number of people who need social welfare, thus protecting our LIP and other social policies. To GRA, it will reduce the number of people who need services, even if the number of taxpayers do not increase. To the security services, it may reduce the number of delinquent children, the prison population, and improve the quality of life of those incarcerated. To our immigration service, it may reduce the number of illegal immigrants. And to our parliamentarians, it may reduce the number of text messages for money through Momo, for health, funeral, and other expenses. To our traditional leaders, it may make it easier to instill cultural values of responsibility, patriotism, and honesty in our children. To our religious leaders, it will help us maintain the dignity of man in line with the image of God. To the gender activists, it will be respecting the rights of adolescents, bridging the inequality gap, and leaving no one behind. Madam Chair, I entreat all of us, especially our religious leaders, traditional authorities and local government, to create committees to come out with programs for implementation of this national important agenda. We need to put our hands and minds into this agenda to help build the nation we so wish to live in. Madam Chair, the teenagers are not talking. They are acting more than talking. So they are teaching us what to do. They are not talking about pregnancy. They are actually acting and living it. So we cannot counteract by just talking. Yes, we must talk, but we need to take action now. I will end my welcome with an Indian proverb which states, and I quote, "Blessed is he who plants trees under whose shade he will never sit," unquote. For this is the true meaning of life. The teenagers are our present and future. Let us together work to save and preserve their lives. I will conclude with Proverbs 19, verse 2, the Amplified Bible. "It is not good for a soul to be without knowledge, and he who hurries with his feet, acting impulsively and proceeding without caution or analyzing the consequences, misses the mark, or in other words, sins." And so we need to guide our teenagers, work together, not just talk, but act to make sure that they find us worthy of being their parents. Once again, I welcome you all to this very important function, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Appiah. A warm round of applause for her again. She's given excellent context to the purpose of our being here, which is the celebration of World Population Day 2022. By 2045, Africa will be home to 1/3 of all young people in the world, aged 15 to 24, according to estimates. It is my singular pleasure to welcome the country rep of UNFPA, Mr. Barnabas Sisa, to give us a short message and to give us more figures from the United Nations as we celebrate World Population Day 22 on a road to a resilient future for all. Please welcome him with a round of applause.
Distinguished chairperson, the executive director of National Population Council, the representative from RIP, Prof, staff of NPC and UNFPA that are here, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. The MC said I should give you figures. I'm not sure where I can get those figures. But let me start by saying that in the historical dynamics of global and national populations, this year, 2022, is differentially unique. It is unique because the world population will reach the 8 billion number by November of this year. And we should be glad that we are part of the 8 billion people that will be alive on the very day the planet will witness that 8 billionth baby. And who knows, That baby might be from Accra. In this regard, Madam Chairperson, permit me to read the Goodwill statement of the Executive Director of Unfpa, Dr. Natalia for the global population, and specifically for this World Population Day celebration of 2022. I read in quote, World Population Day offers a moment to celebrate human progress. Our world, despite challenges, is one where higher shares of people are educated and live healthier lives than any other period in human history. Societies that invest in their people, in their rights and choices have proven time and again that this is the most important road to prosperity, peace for all humans. Let us keep this fact in mind when in the next few months, the total number of people in the world will top 8 billion. This milestone will attract much attention and debate, and likely scaremongering over so many people because of too many people on earth, they will argue. But that will be a mistake. Focusing only on population numbers and growth rates often leads to coercive and counterproductive measures and the erosion of human rights. For example, to women being pressurized to have children or not to have children. It can deepen already acute inequalities, such as through policies shutting down reproductive health care or developing and denying adequate pensions for the elderly. Around the world, the population of the elderly is increasing, and they have to be taken into consideration. The population story is far richer and more important than a single number can capture. There may be more people in the world today, but equally important is the unprecedented demographic diversity we see within global population. A growing number of countries face population aging, and roughly 2/3 of the world's population now live in countries or areas with below replacement fertility or fewer than 2.1 births per woman. In other words, instead of increasing, these countries are witnessing decreasing. Others have youthful and growing population, and more people are on the move, either by choice or are driven by crises, ranging from conflicts to climate change. Understanding these shifts is critical to harnessing opportunities and mitigating potential downturns. People are solutions, not problems. At UNFPA, we advocate for measuring and anticipating demographic changes. Each country should have the information it requires to meet the needs of the diverse population. Diverse population. My throat decided to rebel today. People are solution, not problem. At UNFPA, we advocate for measuring and anticipating demographic changes. Each country should have the information it requires to meet the needs of diverse population groups and ensure that individuals can realize their full potential. When people have the power to make informed choices about whether or and when to have children, when they can exercise their rights and responsibilities, they can navigate risks and become foundation for more inclusive and adaptable, and sustainable societies. Achieving this demographic resilience starts with a commitment to counting not just numbers of people, but also opportunities for progress and barriers that stand in its way. This calls for transforming discriminatory norms that hold individuals and societies back. It leads us to economies that work for all people instead of just a few, and to a fair use of resources so that we can mitigate risks and meet the needs of the current and future generations. We are each will result into reduced infant mortality. It will result into reduced stillbirths, and it will result into survival of mother and child. We in Unfpa recognize the long-standing partnership with the Ministry of Health and indeed the government and people of Ghana in the health sector. I would like to appreciate the cooperation and partnership that ensures that the sexual and reproductive health of all Ghanaians are met. In the same vein, Unfpa appreciates the long-standing partnership between National Population Council and Unfpa. Also, the supportive relationship between Ghana Statistical Services as well as the Regional Institute for Population Studies is something of a pride, and we congratulate the leadership of all these institutions. As we celebrate World Population this year, we must critically take interest in data and the demographic profile of Ghana to inform development plans, equitable allocation of resources, and for determining national priorities. Figures from the first digital census, which Unfpa supported the National Ghana Statistical Services to hold last year, revealed that the current population of Ghana is about 31 or by this year, 32 million people. Of course, 32 million people may look large considering the growth rate and the environment where 32 people are located. However, as we have said, it is not the number that matters, but what we do with that population. Ghana as a country is potentially rich, but being potentially rich does not make the people rich. It is transformation of the resources that are potentially rich into real life quality improving resources that makes a country great. Above all, the real resources of Ghana is the 32 million people. And how do we harness these 32 million people? By investing in their education, in the skills, in the labor market, in the health, and over and above all, respecting the human rights of individuals. If Ghana trade this pathway, surely the future is bright, and we are sure no single person in Ghana or no single Ghanaian will be left behind. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, our country rep, Mr. Barnabas Issa. Not only did he give us figures, he also gave us facts and a lot of points to note as we celebrate World Population Day. You would understand with me that it's a moment for reflection and not, while we celebrate and we are happy about the numbers, we need to also think about it and reflect about how to move forward. You would understand with me that this event is not being done singularly by the National Population Council. It's a collaboration from various stakeholders. And so that's where partnership comes in. In the UN SDGs, Goal 17 calls for partnerships, and we are respecting it very much. So I'd like to move on to welcome representatives from various institutions, including RIPS, PPAG, and also the Ministry of Information. And to begin with, I'd like to invite Professor Stephen Kwanchi to give us a solidarity message from the Regional Institute of Population Studies. A warm round of applause for Professor Kwanchi.
Thank you very much, Mr. MC. Madam Chairperson, Unfpa representative in Ghana, Mr. Barnabas Issa, my own good friend from Unfpa, Dr. Ismail Indifuna, all representatives from the Ghana Saskar Service, my good friends that are there, distinguished Executive Director, National Population Council, Dr. Leticia Adedapia, and all the staff from the National Population Council, my colleagues from RIPS, students, the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I bring you warm greetings from the Regional Institute for Population Studies, RIPS, at the University of Ghana. And I'm happy to state at the outset that RIPS is 50 years this year. I also bring you greetings and well wishes from the director of RIPS, Professor Ayaga Bawa, who was hoping to join us in marking this year's World Population Day in Ghana. But unfortunately, due to circumstances beyond his control, is unable to do so. Currently, as I stand here, there is an academic board meeting, so it is not possible for him to be here. But he sends his warm regards. The rest of the RIPS faculty, staff, and students celebrate this day with the MPC and all of you here gathered. Madam Chair, as an institute that has been in existence since June 1972, with a mandate to train middle-level manpower in the field of population to support with the analysis of data to inform policy and development planning efforts for Anglophone African countries, we are more than glad to be associated with this important day being observed as the World Population Day in Ghana. We therefore congratulate the National Population Council and all partners for a successful organization of this program to mark this important day. Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to recall and draw attention to the National Census Policy Dialogue that my institute led in working with good partners, including the National Population Council, the Ghana Statistical Service, National Development Planning Commission, and the Ministry of Local Government Decentralization and Rural Development on 30th June 2022 at the International Conference Center, Accra, where we sought to bring to the fore the critical need to use the enormous data the 2021 Population and Housing Census has produced to inform every critical decision we make as a nation at all levels of planning for socioeconomic development. At the back of that national policy dialogue, we at RIPS consider the theme for the observation of this World Population Day in Ghana, that is, prioritizing rights and choices, harnessing opportunities, the road to resilient future for all, as both important and timely. This is especially so considering the emphasis being placed on the need to do away with child marriage, teenage pregnancy, while at the same time reducing unmet need for family planning. And we all heard the Executive Director of National Population Council articulating the benefits to all sectors of the economy. This requires ensuring that the rights of young people to age-appropriate sexual and reproductive health information and services are guaranteed without any sociocultural and institutional barriers, while providing the enabling environment for them to make informed choices. This indeed sits very well within the Sustainable Development Goal 3, that is good health and well-being, which is essential in the attainment of all the other equally important 16 goals. Because without good health and well-being, their attainment will be a mirage. Can you imagine unhealthy human beings trying to do away with poverty? Again, although as reported by the 2021 Population and Housing Census, Ghana's population structure is steadily being altered, it is still largely youthful, and so attention is required to be paid to the critical needs of young people. This is importantly to ensure that nothing stands in their way of attaining the highest level of educational and or entrepreneurial training to equip them with the relevant knowledge and skills to contribute effectively to the national development agenda of the country. To this end, Madam Chair, programs and interventions towards achieving these objectives require that we have the critical manpower to undertake evidence-based research using appropriate data with the right scientific analysis to inform policy decisions that will achieve the expected results. I am fully aware, for example, that the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, led by the Ministry's Department of Gender, is currently implementing a national adolescent pregnancy strategic plan, together with several stakeholders. As a training and research population studies institute, we at RIPS will continue to work and collaborate with all relevant ministries, departments, and agencies within the public and private sector space to produce the requisite manpower needs to effectively implement decisions and interventions through our capacity building and training programs and using appropriate data to achieve results that have rightly been captured in the theme for the World Population Day celebrations in Ghana. That is, among other things, realizing resilient future for all. To borrow the statement, one of the statements by the Unfpa country rep, I want to urge all of us to be committed to adopting policies and programs to address population-related challenges, including, most importantly, and because of this theme for this year, adolescent pregnancies and child marriage, towards making the population, and I'm quoting here, making the population a solution to achieving sustainable development rather than a problem. Ladies and gentlemen, Madam Chair, on behalf of RIPS, I congratulate the National Population Council and all of you partners and individuals herein assembled for putting this program together and wish you a good celebration that shall be worthy to remember in the coming years. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Kwanche. So now that you have taken a statement from academia, I'd like to welcome a representative from the Planned Parenthood Association of Ghana, PPAG, to give us a statement from the CSOs. A round of applause for the representative from PPAG.
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair. I stand on behalf of my Executive Director, Madam Abna Amoa of PPAG. I bring you greetings from PPAG. Madam Chair, the Executive Director, National Population Council, Executive Country Director, UNFPA, Professor Sam Kwanji, all protocols observed. As this year's theme for the World Population Day goes, prioritizing rights and choices, harnessing opportunities, the road to a resilient future for all. The Planned Parenthood Association of Ghana, a leading volunteer-supported grassroots-based, non-partisan, rights-based CSO working in the field of sexual and reproductive health in Ghana, would continue to work to complement government's efforts in provision of SRH information and services to the general population, particularly for adolescents and young people, male and female, aged 10 to 24 years. Marginalized, vulnerable groups, including persons with disabilities and key populations, the men in underserved communities. It is in this regard that we celebrate World Population Day. We join in advocating the need for all stakeholders to continue to create awareness for all the negative impacts of high population growth and issues that undermine human rights, including the sexual and reproductive health rights of adolescent girls and young women. When adolescent girls and young women are empowered, they are able to make informed choices about family planning and exercise their rights and responsibility, thereby navigating risks. It is now everyone's business to work together in maintaining a sustainable population for a better Ghana. And I would like to congratulate the National Population Council, all other partners for this wonderful location. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause once again for our reps. I think the team is complete now. In our midst this morning, we have the chairman for Parliamentary Caucus on Population and Development, Dr. Rashid Pelpo, in our midst. Please, let's give him a round of applause. Our guest speaker this morning is the Executive Director for National Health Insurance Scheme. Sorry, Authority. We are now Authority. National Health Insurance Authority, Dr. Okoboy. Please, let's give him a round of applause. Dr. Letitia said in her speech that we need a national campaign to prevent teenage pregnancy, child marriage, and unplanned pregnancy. Because where child marriage thrives, poverty thrives. It's good we have the reps from the Office of the President in our midst. So when I say the team is complete, it's indeed complete. So we'll jump the program. Before the break, we'll receive our guest speaker, Dr. Okoboy, to give his address. Please, a round of applause for him.
Thank you very, very much. Mr. Chairman, the Executive Director for the National Population Council, my own big sister, Dr. Pia, the Board Chairman, the Chairman for the Population Caucus in Parliament, Honorable Purple, my seniors on the high table, all our invited guests, the media, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's obvious, it's unusual to have a special guest walk in and then he immediately takes the mic. I have some few challenges this morning, but I told Doc whatever it takes, I want to be here for some time and make some statements to show the importance I place to this program. So I should be the last to speak when Honorable Purple is around. He's my senior in Parliament when I was there. So I thank you for the privilege. I just want to thank the National Population Council for all the hard work they are doing to get every citizen to appreciate the benefits of planning your family. And not just the benefits to the individual, but the value we get as a country if we plan well. The theme is a long one for this year, but the message is a short one. The message is that the future will be resilient and bright if we plan and do something now. And so I have rephrased it just for the impact. And let me say shortly that some 60 years ago, if you give birth to 7 children, maybe half will make it to adulthood. Under 5 mortality was quite high. Germany had a similar situation some 100 years ago. Every country goes through that phase. But with education, technology, and knowledge base, a strong one, we've come to appreciate the fact that we can actually have all the kids cross that under 5 barrier. And immediately we realize this, we quickly have to reform our minds and know that there's a reason why our grandparents used to have 10, 12 children. They wanted at least half of them to cross the 5 years. Under 5 mortality was a big issue. Now, in Ghana and in most African countries, it's not as bad as we had it some 60 years before or 70 years ago. The point I'm trying to make is that when you have a well-planned family, they are all likely to make it to adulthood. And that science has the answer and not chance. In the past, people assumed that the number of children you get is a matter of chance, but now we can plan it. And it is the more reason why I support the National Population Council in their drive to make sure that the choices that are available to us are explored and that we view the choices as rights and not a favor or a privilege. Mr. Chairman, let me quickly say that the state has a role to play, and so are civil society organizations and even private individuals. So far, I think a good job has been done by the state over the years. As a practitioner myself, I know that the materials used for family planning over the years have been heavily subsidized. And I am also aware that the Ghana Health Service, together under the leadership of Dr. Appiah, and with the support of the National Health Insurance, Mary Stopes did some work, piloted the reimbursement or the payment for the services that are given for family planning, that's reproductive services. And I am very glad and proud to mention that since April of this year, the National Health Insurance Authority has actually absorbed the cost of the services for reproductive health across the country. I mean, the fact that now on our tariffs, our services list, we reimburse or pay for these services is enough evidence that we are committed to support the council and all partners all the way to the end. Our commitment is sure, and we must remember that the agenda of universal health coverage remains paramount for this Akufo-Addo government, and I know it's paramount also for the National Population Council. And we'll continue to support and partner all relevant entities so that together we have planned families in this country. A country can make a lot of wealth, but when there are so many people to share the wealth vanishes. And so with that knowledge base, for us to be comfortable and happy, we have a duty to make sure that everybody plans his or her family. Now that we are willing to support and to fund the payment of the services and the materials for family planning, we also must remember that there are some cultural and religious barriers which don't need money but need a lot of education and trust. And that is where we have to activate our pastors and malams and sheikhs and all those whose words carry weight. Because one of the things I know very much is that you can speak a lot of science, but if trust is an issue, you might not succeed. You can speak a lot of data, but the one who goes to the mosque might listen more to the sheikh than you who are the expert in population dynamics. And so we should not forget all these key stakeholders in the community who can make a case why a religious person should not see family planning as a bad thing. Finally, it's important to mention the go all the way to the streets. And it's the more reason why you should be proud that you made it to this place. I thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Okoboy, Chief Executive Officer of the National Health Insurance Authority. We need to give him another round of applause. Indeed, this is the keynote address, which has been well situated in the theme for our celebration, prioritizing rights and choices. I want to, hammer on what he said. When you see a kid on the street, it means that child was not planned for. So this is where we make a case for the need to stem unintended pregnancies and why we need to prioritize family planning in our quest for national development. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to a good part of the event, and this is where I'll say we need to take a snack break. But before that, allow me to acknowledge the presence of some distinguished persons in our midst. The Director of the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit of the Ghana Police Service, DOVSU, Chief Superintendent, Madame Owusu Chairman, let's give her a round of applause. Assistant Commissioner, let's give her a round of applause. And also the Director of the Siratu Jana Islamic School at Kaswa, Alhaji Isahak Ibrahim Tanko. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you very much for joining us. So ladies and gentlemen, we'll have to move quietly to have our snack break, and then thank you very much. I also need to acknowledge our sponsors, the Ministry of Health, and also Goodwill Energy. Let's give them a round of applause. This is a difficult time for petroleum companies, so if they are supporting population issues, we need to give them a round of applause. So now I would like us to go and have our snack break. Okay, so what is important is we'll take a short photograph and then we'll have our snack break. It's very important that we document this meeting. So photographers on standby, you can direct us as to how we should arrange it for the photograph session to take place. So we are following your lead. I would like to crave the indulgence of the high table to kindly move forward, to line up in front so that our photographers can take relevant shots of. Should they come in front? The table should move back.
I'll invite Alhaji Yusuf Fofana, sorry if I pronounce it wrong, government spokesperson on social services from the Ministry of Information, for a short message. After that, we're going to have a word from the chairman of Population and Development Committee, Dr. Rashid Pelpo. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam MC. Good afternoon and welcome back. Madam Chair, Executive Director of NPC, my own sister, Madam Letitia Pia, Country Director of Unfpa, Mr. Barnabas Yisa, reps from RIP and PPAG. My own brother just left, Honorable Okoboy, Chief Executive of National Health Insurance Authority. My big brother and Member of Parliament for Wa Central, Honorable Rashid Pelpo. Mr. Professor, also on the far right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to represent the Minister for Information. Madam Chair, we are honored to be called upon to give a solidarity message on a day when the whole world is celebrating the Population Day. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 years ago, the world's population was just 7.7 billion. Today, we have doubled that, and as if that is enough, we are still counting. The topic for today, prioritizing rights and choices, harnessing opportunities, the road to a resilient future for all, is also well placed or picked. Madam Chair, prioritizing the rights and choices of all is key to ensuring opportunities for all. But the question is, we might be asking, it's what right and choices should we prioritize? The world is growing at a rate where it is predicted by 2030, the population will have grown by another 1 billion people. If the world keeps growing by 1 billion every 10 years, where will we be in the next 50 years? As to what rights and choices are referred to by the population experts should be clear to what should be done, having in mind the cultural ramifications, and sometimes opposing such decisions can cause how we address them. One thing is clear, every one of us must be worried about what is happening and be concerned about how we all tackle it without any fear or favor. And that's how come today's program is very much welcome. And we thank the organizers for this wonderful program. We at the Ministry of Information can confidently say the government is ready to listen to any suggestions from the experts that can enhance our efforts and contribution to ensuring we do not cause our own doom in the near future. Madam Chairperson, I would like to call on the population experts to be circumspect in their deliberation and efforts as they propose the needed options to ensuring we prioritize rights and choices to ensure we harness needed opportunities. As the main speaker this morning from the Unfpa, I think he did a wonderful job. Please, let's give him a big round of applause. Madam Chairperson, I would once again reiterate our support for the National Population Council as they garner all efforts to steer Ghana along the path that can benefit not only us, but our children's children and generations yet unborn. I wish to thank you once again for the opportunity given Thank you very much, and may God bless all of us.
Thank you. Thank you. Please, let's do it once again. Honorable Dr. Rashid Pelpo, Chairman, Parliamentary Select Committee on Population and Development.
Thank you very much. I want to stand on existing protocol to recognize all of you here and to say thank you for the invitation to celebrate this very important day on our reflection on our population, on this Population Day, celebrated by all the people of the world, celebrated by families, celebrated by governments and individuals and groups. When you are talking about population, you are reflecting on family values, you are reflecting on households, you are also reflecting on estates, because these are the places where population generate from and have a direct influence on the lives of people. If you have a family, you should be planning about population. You should be thinking about how that family can take care of its young people as you bring them forth to the world and get them to be part of, effectively be part of the production structure, to be able to take care of themselves and to be able to live worthy lives. If you are a government, you are thinking about how that government can generate resources to take care of its population. How is agriculture going to be tackled to produce food for everybody? How is transportation going to be tackled to carry people to where they want to go? And how will your infrastructure be organized in manners that will not give pressure to the existing infrastructure? The roads have to be constructed, living accommodation have to be available, schools have to be done, all the kinds of things that will ensure that people grow and live worthy lives are tackled. So population is a very important aspect of our lives. And in tackling it, we look at the production structure of the human person, the female reproductive health. How is that going to have a direct influence on the children we bring up? Adolescents, how are they growing in school? How will children who are growing and not being able to take care of themselves yet be prevented from carrying other children? You have situations where people who are themselves children being taken care of produce children, so you begin to take care of them and produce to take care of their own children. That is a miserable family life. So today is an important day that we celebrate every year to have a genuine reflection on our population, to have a direct soul-searching influence on what we are as a people. And so from Parliament, we want to say we are part of this. We are willing to go every length to work with the Population Council, to work with other individuals and groups, and eventually to influence national policy in directly addressing the issues of our population. Our budgets every year will have to take into consideration the numbers of people who are rising in this country. So on this day, we bring you solidarity message, wishing all of us well and hoping that we will learn from every interaction on our population drive and eventually have a direct influence on national policy on population and development. I thank you all.
Thank you, Doc. Please, let's give it for him again. Yes, we are almost getting to the close of our program. We are trying hard to see how best we can curb the menace the canker of teenage pregnancy, child marriage, and planned pregnancies. And so we'll move to watch a documentary on turning the wheels. How do we intend to make changes on our demographic dividends in terms of our population structure? Thank you.
Ghana has a proud history as an economic and political leader in Africa. To accelerate our path to becoming a modern and prosperous country and continue our economic leadership for generations to come, we must invest in the human capital of our people. The first step is investing in policies that transform our population age structure, or the share of the population in each age group. Ghana's population age structure is young. Our age structure is shaped like a pyramid, with almost 38% of Ghanaians under age 15. The large population of young people is economically dependent on working adults to provide for their health and education. Many households do not have enough resources to meet those needs. This is a bottleneck to accelerated economic growth in Ghana. With greater investment in the health and education of young people, countries can achieve the economic benefits of a healthy and better educated working age population, as we saw in Thailand. At independence in 1957, Ghana had similar demographic and economic characteristics as countries like Thailand. In the 1960s, women in Thailand and Ghana were having an average of 6 children, leading to rapid population growth. But during the next 25 years, our paths began to diverge. The Thai government established policies to slow population growth. They focused their national economic and social development plans on lowering fertility rates by increasing access to voluntary family planning services. With fewer births each year, the young, economically dependent population in Thailand grew smaller relative to the working age population. This transformation opened up a window of opportunity to achieve a demographic dividend, or the accelerated economic growth that can result when more of the population is working age and employed in well-paying jobs. Thailand took advantage of age structure changes by implementing a supportive policy environment. Today, Thailand's GDP per capita is $7,808. In comparison, Ghana's age structure today looks much like it did in 1960, and our GDP per capita is just $2,202. By transforming our age structure and investing in the human capital development of our people, Ghana could potentially enjoy the same prosperity. We can change our population age structure through a sustained decline in fertility. When women and couples can exercise choice in the size of their families through access to voluntary family planning information and services, many choose to have fewer children. The window of opportunity to attain the demographic dividend appears when a country's median age of the population, or the age at which half of the population is older and half is younger, is 26 years. Today, the median age in Ghana is just 22 years of age. Ghana needs to take steps that recognize the role of family planning in shifting the population age structure. 3 in every 10 married women who wish to delay or avoid pregnancy are not using contraception. Barriers to family planning access impact all women of reproductive age, regardless of whether they are married. Almost 14% of teenage girls are either pregnant or have already given birth. To address the need for family planning, the government of Ghana committed to increasing funding of contraceptive commodities in its Family Planning 2020 commitment and the Ghana Family Planning Costed Implementation Plan. While the government intends to purchase 1/3 of all contraceptive methods, the government only procured 1/10 in 2018, and more work needs to be done to meet this commitment. At the district level, assemblies often have no budget line for family planning services, which makes it difficult to successfully implement plans and policies to achieve government's priorities. To accelerate change in age structure and achieve policy goals, policymakers must increase government procurement of contraceptive methods to ensure full financing for commodity needs, expand access to a wider range of contraceptive methods for young people, create budget lines for family planning services using district assemblies' common funds. Our efforts to expand access to voluntary family planning will enable women and couples to plan the timing and spacing of their births, leading to a decrease in fertility. When women are having fewer children, the median age of the population will gradually increase. As the median age of the population increases, countries can achieve faster economic growth with complementary investments in health, education, and the economy. When the median age of the population is 29, countries become more likely than not to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals target for child survival. Today, the mortality rate of children under 5 in Ghana is 60 deaths for every 1,000 births. As fertility falls and the median age increases, Ghana will become more likely to achieve this child survival dividend. To build a healthier population, we must also invest in strengthening primary health care, including universal immunization, ensuring adequate nutrition for infants and young children, expanding access to adolescent family planning and reproductive health information and services. Government investments in health of infants and children will promote a healthy and productive population. When children and adolescents are healthy, they are more likely to stay in school, progress to further levels of schooling, and eventually complete their education. A changing age structure also benefits the education sector. When the median age is 25, countries are more likely to have at least 60% of young people enrolled in senior high school. In 2018, almost 60% of young people in Ghana were enrolled in senior high school. While enrollment rates in senior high school are improving, many Ghanaian students are far behind for their age. They may not complete secondary school for a variety of reasons, including seasonal work, family responsibilities, teenage pregnancy, or some other school-related expenditure. We can increase enrollment in senior high school and build a competitive workforce by investing in quality educational infrastructure, ensuring universal access to quality education, especially among young girls, investing in vocational education and training options that equip young people with skills that match the labor market. When a country's median age is 31, they become more likely to attain upper middle income status. A healthy and educated population generates a productive labor force. Ghana is a lower middle income country, but with the right interventions in the health and education sectors, combined with decreased fertility, we can see increased wealth and reduced levels of unemployment and underemployment, especially among youth. A productive labor force will help Ghana progress towards becoming an upper middle income country. Family planning and education can also create a more equitable society by reducing gender gaps and empowering women to work outside the home in the formal sector. To become an upper middle income country, we must also make investments to transform our economy. Ghana's economy is still largely informal. The primary source of income for most Ghanaians is agriculture, mainly subsistence. The number of small businesses is growing, but they are constrained in many ways. To be competitive, we must increase productivity by modernizing farming practices, promoting agro-processing, reducing the cost of doing business. Finally, Ghana's youthful age structure leaves it at risk for increased civil conflict. As age structures mature, countries are more likely to achieve and sustain peace. Other supportive policy investments to enhance peace and good governance include ensuring transparency and accountability mechanisms in use of public resources, promoting equity and social inclusion, countering harmful cultural practices, traditions, and values. We must also promote active citizen participation to demand accountability, including policies and strict measures to recover public funds when corruption is discovered. Achieving our economic goals starts with accelerating the change in our population age structure. By promoting healthy timing and spacing of births through voluntary family planning, we can free funds for quality improvement in human capital and infrastructure development and be on our way to attaining the demographic dividend. Let us invest in our people and build a productive Ghana for future generations.
Thank you very much, IT support team. So it's been a moment of learning, unlearning, and also relearning. So we are seeing how we are going to deal with a world of 8 billion people by 15th November. We've given you a lot of information. We won't say it's an information overload. This is where we have to engage. So we would like to take questions from our audience by the special request of our chairperson, so that we also speak to issues that are on your mind and which I believe the media would help to bring clarity to as we inform the Ghanaian society. So if you have questions, you kindly raise up your hand, we'll call you, and then our experts will answer your questions. Also, I want to mention that my co-MC has lost a laptop. It's a Dell laptop. So if you've come across it or there's any information, the bag and everything is gone. So this is an announcement. So maybe it's not lost. You've seen it somewhere. So just kindly show us how good and kind you can be to bring us the bag, please. So it was around the reception area. So, okay. It was with the receptionist where the registration is being done. So that is information for us. It shouldn't be a day of sadness. We are happy. It's a celebratory day. So I want to ask for your questions, please, your questions. If you have any question, kindly raise your hand. You ask your question, and then answers will be provided. A world of 8 billion people by 15th November. It gives us a lot to think about and a lot of questions to be asked. Also, we are seeing that Africa is having a largely youthful population. Ghana is also having a largely youthful population. From the documentary, we learned that about 38% are below 15. That means the dependency or the population that is dependent on those working are very high. These are questions, or these are issues that need questions and answers to. So let's have a discussion around this. So your questions are welcome, please. We know that journalists in our midst, and you'd like to ask a lot of questions. So I want to see your hands, please. We are not going to call anyone. And your recommendations, your contributions are welcome, your suggestions, because we are building this nation together. We are not doing it alone. So your comments, your questions, feedback is welcome and is very important for the NPC and other development bodies. Please. Any hands? Because there are issues, population issues affect everyone. We talk about child marriage, sexual and reproductive health, rights and choices, sexual and gender-based violence, education, quality health care, access to social services. All these come into play. So your feedback, your questions, your information, anything you want to share. Our dear audience, it's like when we are having national science and math quiz and the contestants are not able to answer. Now the quiz mistress throws it to the participant. So audience, do your magic. We want to hear from you also. So that it wouldn't look like we are the only ones speaking. No. It should be a two-way street. That's how effective communication happens. So okay, so we have Mr. Goro who wants to make a contribution. A round of applause for him.
I want to open the floor for discussion. You will notice from the video that Ghana started with Malaysia almost with the same population structure. Is that Malaysia? Thailand, sorry. With the same population age structure. And then the GDP was almost the same at the time. And over time, Thailand overtook Ghana with their policies, with targeted policies that helped to change the age structure and change the dynamics in the country. I want to ask, what went wrong in Ghana? Why did we start together and yet we're left behind? Now, one of the principles of SDG says no one should be left behind. But Ghana, due to our policies, we have been left behind. What can we do better now to catch up? Because we have no other option than to catch up. Our population age structure now is not very helpful for us. That is why we keep talking about the need for family planning. We keep talking about the need for youth employment, because we have serious youth unemployment. That is why we keep talking about the need for policies to help the country harness the dividend. We have large young population. That presents us with an opportunity to be able to harness the dividend. Like our rep indicated, the 32 million we have is the biggest resource. Is the biggest resource. And like the minister said, if you see a child on the street, implied that child is a product of unplanned pregnancy. What went wrong? What can we do better? Please. These are open questions for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, there's also a question.
Thank you very much. I also want to know how the dividend is measured. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then, Joseph.
Yeah. So, quite unfortunate. We've learned that Ghana's population is rising fast. Currently, we have about 32,000 going, or 32 million, let me put it that way. So I would like to find out from the experts at which percentage or at which volume do you want the Ghana's population to be so that we can control population development and others and live meaningfully with it? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think, would we want more questions or you answered this first three? Okay.
Thank you very much. My issue has to do with statistics in relation to where population is, because it is very important for us to have accurate data that can always enable us to have accurate deployment of resources across the sectors of our various economy. But it seems to me like if you go across the length and breadth of all platforms, they are not being able to quote exact population of Ghana. It is always about 30 million, some would say 31 million, and all those kind of stuff. But in terms of population-wise, it has to be accurate. That can help us be able to do a better research in terms of making an account for whatever we intend to do. Because speaking as a random person might not be the accurate information or information dissemination to people who might need the data for a certain purpose. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Should we take some more? Okay. First round of questions.
Thank you very much for the questions. The last one, you are wondering whether we ever have an accurate figure for Ghana's population. We have. And that was what was declared by the Ghana Statistical Service last year. It was 30.8 million Ghanaians. You see, when the rep was talking, he was referring to the current situation. In the current situation, we don't have exact data on it. Censuses are conducted with a reference date. And even the one for last year, 2021, we quote 2021, but it's actually with reference to a particular point in time. And that was 30th June 2021. After that, people give birth. People die. Some migrate out. Some migrate in. So that is why, if you want to talk about the current situation, you try and have an estimate. So it's never true that we don't have the numbers. If you go to Ghana Statistical Service now, or if you come to my institute, and you want to find out the population of Ghana today, there are methods that we can use to generate them for you. So please, any date in time that you want Ghana's population, go to the right source, you'll get it. And I'm sure if you go through National Population Council too, they will also be able to help you to gauge it. I think that is that one. Somebody was talking about what population size is ideal for Ghana. We don't have ideal population sizes. And I think the Unfpa rep talked about that. And he mentioned that it is not the size, the number that matters, but rather what is contained in the number. You see, and we are talking about young people at the base that you need to plan for schooling, for health, for shelter, for feeding, and all that. So if the numbers are large at a particular point in time within the population pertaining to a certain age group, that is where either you have the solution or the problem. And so we are not talking about the size of the population per se. Because when we're coming, we're talking about comparing Bangladesh and Ghana. And I was saying that some years ago, Bangladesh's population was over 140 million. And Ghana's was, I think, 18.9. This was in 2010. And there was a seminar that we held that people were talking about Ghana's population size and there's a problem and all that. Then someone who had come from Bangladesh said, how many are you? Then we said 18.9 million. So, but this is no population. Come to Bangladesh. We are over 140 million. And meanwhile, the size of the land were not too different. You see? So 140 million, they have their own challenges. But when you compare ours with a country like the UK, Britain, for example, we will always use the two. Their population at the time when we were talking about population and development in the 90s was about 3 times that of Ghana. But they were not talking about population size. Right now, they are worried about how sustainable the population will be because the growth rate is negative. You get the point I'm making? So depending on how you grow your population, you want to look at these components and the challenges that they present to be able to advance concrete solutions to them. So let us not worry too much whether Ghana is 40 million, 50 million, or whatever. What is important is how are we increasing it? Are we increasing it at the expense of the health of the mothers? Or destroying the future of the young people that are being born? If you give birth to 5 children and 4 of them die, you haven't done anything. But right now, we are trying to help the Ghana Health Service and everybody working together to reduce infant and child mortality. Once that is achieved, you don't need to go the extra mile to have a netball team or a football team. But rather, the fewer, how qualitative it is, how you are able to bring them up, you save the mother's health, the health of the children is also improved. You, the father, too, can go to bed and sleep well because the demands on your pocket will also be lower. And so this is how we look at all these in trying to help us understand what population actually entails. And not just the fact that we are X in number, but rather what is contained in that number. Somebody may have a family of, let's say, 5. Somebody may have only been 1. But the problem the one that has 1 is having may be bigger than the one that has 5. Because the one that has 5 may have the management and the resource to take care of them. The one that has the one even had the one accidentally without any planning. So this is how the whole thing must be explained, and not just the number that we have. So you shouldn't worry about 32, 33, 40 billion, but how are we getting there? What challenges are we containing in the numbers? And so when we think this way, that is why MPC is leading the crusade in saying that for this, let's focus on adolescent pregnancy, teenage pregnancy, unplanned birth, child marriages. So if you're able to resolve that one, then the rate at which we are adding the numbers will also slow down. And so it will take us longer to get to a certain point when we have planned and we are more prepared to do it. Talking about Thailand and Ghana, I think, you see, they invested more in education. And once you are investing in education, indirectly, you are also reducing childbearing. Because if you want a girl child to be in school for long, then she thinks less about going to marry, thinks less about having a child. But you see, several years ago, we were talking about if you educate a girl, she will easily go and marry. So why invest in somebody who will be taken as a wife by another person? So we never bothered too much in those days to think about even educating young girls. But now the situation is changing. And so once we progress towards that angle, eventually we will overcome some of these problems that we are grappling with now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I think Prof has said it all. I just want to add a little to it. First, starting with the statistical service, the data. Yes, as Prof said, we have the data. But that is why, as a country, we also have to focus on administrative data. Because in developed countries, when anybody is born, is taken. When you die, you are checked out. So how do we also have a system where administrative data in all our districts are top-notch, so that we do not just focus on census that is 10 years. So that is something that we as a country should also begin to look at. Then, talking about the population, as Prof has rightly said, you see, because I'm a medic, I like a lot of explanations in there. You can have the average BP to be 120/80. And then half of you will have BP 200/100. And then half of you would have BP 100/80. Both of you are dying, but averagely, it's normal. So that is how it is. You have to focus on too early, reduce it. Too late, reduce it. Too close, and too many. Those are the 4 demographic risks in reproduction. Just like if you want a healthy weight and you are eating all the wrong foods, your nutrition officer will tell you, take off these ones and settle on this, and automatically your weight will come down, your BMI will be normal. That is how it is with population. If we reduce too early pregnancies below 18 years, we obey the birth intervals between 2 to 4 years, and not have the first one too late, and not have it too many, automatically the growth rate will come down. As Prof said, it's not the numbers, because China is more than us, but the rate of growth. We started somewhere 40, 50 years ago. We have multiplied 5 times. Those who started somewhere 40, 50 years ago have doubled, or at best 2.5 times. So it is not where you are starting, but how fast you are going. That is it. Population is about everybody's individual health. That you have a healthy mother, a healthy child. When the pregnancy is too early, you can have a sick mother, sick child. Dead mother, dead child. Or dead mother, dead, something. The outcomes are not optimal. So it is mainly the outcomes of the pregnancies that determine population policies. Population policies actually reduces high-risk pregnancies, just like nutrition plans takes away the not too good foods from your diet. So it's basically that. Now the first question said, how do you measure dividend? How do you measure savings when you put money in a bank? It works for you and they pay you dividend. So investments that you make, the profits that you make on it. So if for you, your whole life, you have 10 children, and all you do is to pay school fees, and then finally all 10 are unemployed, then you can see whether you are reaping dividend or not. And cumulatively is the nation. So you invest, then you reap. I don't think the farmers are just farming without reaping fruits. So that is how you reap the dividend. And the dividend is from family, then it aggregates to the nation. Because family savings become national savings. So that when the state wants to borrow, it borrows our money. But when family consumptions outstrip savings, then when we are borrowing, we have to go somewhere else. So that is how it is. So the dividend is the investments or the profit we get when we invest. Your parents took you to school, you studied for maybe 10 years, but you've been working for 30 years. That's dividend. Have I made myself clear? So I have tried to. So the issue is, when we reduce the number of children by these groups, too young, too close, too many, and too late, automatically the growth rate comes down. And the experts will tell you, when you grow at 1%, you double your population in every 70 years. When you grow at 2%, you double 35 years. So which one would you prefer? Then you take your policies to fit it. Population policies exist for every country, whether you own it or you do not own it. So you can have a population policy by choice or a population policy by default. Because as long as you give birth, you die, you migrate by default, that is your population policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for our high table, Executive Director of MPC, Professor Kwanche. Please, your comments, your feedback, still welcome. We're having a healthy discussion. Okay, so I see a hand there.
There's a hand. Yes. Second round. Second round. So maybe about 3 months.
Okay. So 3 maximum, 1, 2, and then all the one.
Yes.
So there's none. One at the front.
Good afternoon. Please, my name is Brad Phillip, and then I report for the Daily Statesman. I believe that we can't talk about population without making emphasis on education. So how best is the council putting measures in place to ensure that not necessarily a day like this will come where the populace will be engaged and then briefed on how to sustain population, but then further engagements, if it is a monthly engagement or even weekly, are there some measures in place in that regard? Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon. Oh, is it morning? Afternoon, okay. I write for the Research Light newspaper. My name is Nana Poku. Prof, streetism normally gives birth to gangsterism and mobocracy. And we are seeing more of our children on the streets because if they don't have homes, peer pressure will bear on them and then they can do all kinds of things. So as a state, what can we do or what measure we must do? Because there was a time the Minister of Gender also was trying to take away the children from the street. There was a policy or program for that. I don't know where they have reached. But what can the state do to nip this very situation in the bud so that we may not have that gangsterism and mobocracy and armed robbery and things like that?
Thank you very much. It appears you are hearing a new word. So,
Okay. Good afternoon, all. My name is Maina Sarah. I'm a student here. And the documentary we just watched is really interesting to me. I'm actually from Nigeria. And then looking at the comparison between Ghana and Thailand. And then I know in Nigeria we have been comparing ourselves with Malaysia and some other Asian countries. And then you look at Niger and some other West African countries. You know, my question is it that we the blacks have a fundamental problem? Or because you see that we compare ourselves with these Asian countries that we started almost at the same level. They were also colonized. They were also behind in economy and everything. And even some of them came to West Africa in those 40 years back or 50 years back to get some resources or plants or seedlings and stuff to go and plant. And then they were able to develop their countries. And some of them have very high fertilities those times, you know. But they were able to control it. But then you see documents as far back as 70s in most of our African libraries talking about this fertility thing. And up to today, we are still in that same cycle. Is it that we, the blacks, have a problem or something? Maybe there are some research that have discovered that. Because I've read somewhere that the tropical sun has an effect on our brains, that our brains are... So maybe you will help us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. Okay. So, our esteemed high table, over to you.
Whether there is something wrong with the black man. I don't think so. There is nothing wrong with us. We are told that we're created in God's image. So it's the same image that we have everywhere. The problem is how we have actually run our own systems and how we have sustained them. Ghana and I think Kenya were among the early countries in sub-Saharan Africa to craft a beautiful population policy. And it is quoted everywhere. I've attended a number of conferences internationally, and when it comes to some of these population policies, Ghana is cited worldwide as a country that initiated some of these brilliant ideas. You see, the Asian tigers that you talk about, the way they have run their economies is not the same way that we have run ours. For example, you may have a particular political individual being in power for so long, and we call them the benevolent dictators. And they have certain policies that they forcefully implement without any challenge. And if it happens to be a good policy, they have the time to sustain all the good things about them, and eventually we get to the end. Most of us in Africa, south of the Sahara, you know, we are implementing certain systems that, even though are good, we call it democracy, yet it's not sustainable. In Ghana here, every time there is a change of government, the past government will point to certain programs that they initiated which have been abandoned. And when they also have the opportunity to come, the same accusations will go to them, which means that there is something policy-wise that we are not doing well. We cannot rally around any policy which we can say that by consensus, this is good, so let's pursue it. So I'm thinking that it is not our color, but the way we have organized ourselves sociopolitically to be able to attain these goals. But the main difference is, somebody's phone is here. The main difference I see, research-wise, is to what extent in Africa have we invested in our education on a sustainable basis to ensure that the rank and file, everybody, is encouraged to be in school so long as the capacity of that person will carry him or her. If we're able to do that, these population issues that we are talking about, indirectly or directly, will be addressed. Because if they are in school for long periods of time, I'm saying that they will think less about marrying. They will think less about giving birth to children. And the state will also facilitate the system in such a way that whoever wants to avoid a pregnancy will be able to do so. So once they are kept, their human capital is built, and they have the skills, employable ones, entrepreneurial ones, to be able to also contribute and not wait for government to employ all of them, but rather be able to start something themselves. And that is the private sector driven that we are talking about. So I think that there are so many things. Our cultural system, we have the system, the theory of intergenerational wealth flow, for example, which we learned several years ago, which suggested to us in Africa that the system was such that your investment was rather in the number of children that you should have. So if you have those numbers, the hope is that one of them or some of them may become prime ministers or presidents. You see, forgetting that presidents are not just born today and you are a president. You have to go through a process, through education, skill development, okay, to be able to get to that level. Or somebody will say that maybe one of them will become a doctor, medical doctor. But these don't come by chance. And so when they grow old, then they are anticipating that the children will come and take care of them. Because the wealth flow will now come from the children to the parents. That is a very important theory that has been studied in demography. But now the system has changed. And several years ago, we were doing a study on the mountains and about remittances. There was an old man that was there, I think at the time he was about 90 years, educated. And we're talking about remittances from children, from family members, those who have migrated. And when we mentioned that we needed to know whether they were receiving remittances, surprisingly and interestingly, the man had got an exercise book that he had listed all his children along one column like this. Each one has a row. And then the months, January to December, month by month. Any remittance that you bring, this man will go and document it. Then at the end of the year, he will total, row-wise, and then column-wise, every month how much he has received. And then you'll be able to compare who is giving what and who is not giving what. And he said, look at this child. As for him, he has even abandoned me. But this one is doing very well. This one comes every month. This one every other month. I was amazed the way the man was sharing that information with us. And that suggests that, you see, we give birth to children and hope that they will come and take care of us. So the more you have, and that is culture, the more you have, then when you are older, the more people who will be sending you money. But it doesn't work like that. And these days, as the population structure is also changing, one thing we need to be thinking about more is mental health at old age. Because increasingly, the children that we are giving birth to, we are unable to invest in them. So they can also find their way. Eventually, they abandon us. Go to the streets. Somebody was talking about streets. They go out to fend for themselves. Eventually, we abandon them alone, and the extended family system is also breaking down. You can't get anybody to come and spend his time taking care of your old mother or old father. So loneliness poverty, lack of social security because of the informal sector, which is also big, without any guarantee for any social security support when you are older. All these are breeding issues of mental health. And you see, in Africa, when you talk about mental health, they are thinking about the one who is naked on the street. And that's not what we are talking about. There are people who are well clothed, well dressed, but mentally they have challenges. And I'm sure if the medical officer is here, if we had some tests, maybe all of us will be diagnosed of having some symptoms of mental health challenge. On the streetism thing, you know, it was mentioned, and I think the chief executive for National Health Insurance Authority mentioned it, that when you give birth to a child and it is on the street, it means that the person was not planned for. And if you have not planned for that person, the person will plan for himself. And out of the home, he has to go and fend for himself. I agree with you that they are becoming a social menace. There is this place, sorry, Madam Chair, I'm going on and on. This place, Jowulu Traffic Light. Jowulu Traffic Light. There are some boys there. Anytime you get there and the light is red on you and you stop, they will just come around and then be pouring some dirty water on your windscreen and then forcing you to give something. I mean, that alone is a security threat that we need to address. And these young children, the infants that are on the roads begging and their mother sitting under some umbrella and or tree, they are growing slowly and steadily. A time may come, they will get into the system already hardened by the streetism that we are talking about. So the gangsterism that you are describing, or what did you say, mobocracy, will also come in. And I think that we need to do something, but we shouldn't wait till they are there that we go and sack them. Sack them and bring them where? They will come back. So let's begin to do the right things so that in the first place, we prevent unplanned pregnancies and childbearing so that we don't leave them on the street. I will not be happy to find my child on the street. So I'll do very well to take care of them because I plan to give birth to them. But if you don't plan, if they are away from you, the burden is reduced because they will fend for themselves. And that is exactly what is happening. So they all pose security risks, but we must start from somewhere. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Prof, for that. I would still pick a little from what you have said, but that we have compared ourselves, what is wrong with us. You see, there is a science to reproduction. That is what Africans have not appreciated. There's a healthy way of doing it. There's a more efficient way of doing it. It is, for instance, the Asians, yes, education, but they also let the people know the importance of family planning. You know, family planning is not just planning for planning's sake, but for planning for optimal outcome of the baby. So nutrition, like a quote by somebody I've forgotten who said, he said, as we all sit, including me, you are a product of what your mommy ate and what you are eating and what you are doing now. Because when you were in your mommy's womb, she was the soil. And so if we do not obey that, then we tend to have a challenge. So it is not just reproducing anyhow, but obeying the science of reproduction. Just like the farmers obey the science of farming. That is why they do not farm in the dry season. Not because they cannot, but it is just not efficient. And so if you watch a lot of the Asians, this thing, and there's a lot of education on it, because ignorance is not an option. There's a lot of education on why you should time your pregnancy. And then apart from on why you should time your pregnancy, there's also the services. We have immunizations scattered all over in the country For immunization services, we have the commodities, we have the enabling environment, we have the human resource, the health workers, to give. Then we have the education. And so the demand and supply side have to meet. The unfortunate thing we have on our continent is there's a lot of talk, but not the actual. Can you imagine if we tried preventing COVID by just talking about COVID and not providing the mask, the vaccines, the water, the soap, and making sure that we socially distance? So that is what I think is a problem with us. All continents manufacture their commodities. Asia manufactures its commodities. India manufactures its commodities. America manufactures its commodities. Europe manufactures its commodities. It's donor-driven, and domestic funding is less than 30%, including other African countries. So it is not that there's something wrong with us, but probably our leadership has not found the need to position it well. Because reproduction and population is not talking. It's actually a way of life. Just like during the health break, we just told you about the importance of health break and we didn't go out to go and have it. How useful is that? So it's not just about talking, but making sure that the services are there and the education is there. Because a lot of the reproduction is done in ignorance. But there's a right timing to it, health-wise. So that is what I would say to yours. It is really that we have not focused on it. If you look at the contraceptive uptake in Africa, it's the lowest. It's the lowest. Meanwhile, there's so many abortions. Why? It is the women telling us that they need the services that we are not providing. Because like I said on a platform, no woman will get pregnant and want to abort it. And no woman, seriously, will want to have a child and leave the child on the street. But if you have kept people in ignorance, you have not given them the services, you have not provided them with the enabling environment, then that happens. So we do not blame ourselves, but seriously, we have to blame the leadership. Because leadership is everything, everything else is effect. Now you talk about the streetism and all that. The streetism, the children come on the street from somewhere. So where do they come from? As Prof said, if we're able to nip it in the bud, in the homes, if children stay children, and then they grow, we take care of them, then they will not come on the street. If children are fed, nobody will give them 5 cedis and have sex with them. So it goes back to the root of it, the parenting. How are we as a society supporting parents to be good parents and keeping people who are not supposed to be parents out of parenting? Because I do not think that everybody should be a parent at any time. Children have no business being parents. Just like not everybody in the country can be a soldier. There's a criteria for selecting. If I go, Madam, would they get me? They will not. Yes, they will not allow me to enter the forces. Likewise, something as important and as sacred as giving birth, that one we have no limit. Everybody can do it. Teenagers can do it. 10-year-old can do it. Meanwhile, they cannot drive. Which one is more difficult? Driving or taking care of a child? That's the choice we have to make. So we need to do the big things whilst they are easy and do the great things whilst they are small. That is a quote by Lao Tzu. I really like his quotes. You know, so we need to do the big things whilst they are small. How can we prevent it? Why is it that when we go out, we go to the developed world, they do not have the children on the street? Because they do not allow it. The policies do not allow it. But for us, we do it, and then we want to leave our continent and go to where they do not allow it. So why don't we also not allow it so that we can continue to live here? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So it's been a very good moment of engagement. We've had a lot that will be taken away with us as we reflect on prioritizing rights and choices, harnessing opportunities, the road to a resilient future for all. We believe we will be coming together to celebrate successes while we consolidate the gains made. So at this point, I'll welcome our chairperson to give us her closing remarks. A round of applause for her.
Thank you very much. I think my co-P has done very well. The two co-Ps, please give them a round of applause. When you have a very good co-Ps, MCs, your work is very, very easy. So I just sat down and I was enjoying the way they were doing it. And also the speeches, that went very well. And participants who are amazing. Shall we give a round of applause for ourselves? So, Executive Director, National Population Council, Dr. Letitia Appiah, my own sister, we both work for the presidency. So, Dr. Bernard Issa, Country Director, Unfpa, Dr. Stephen Kwanche, Prof. Stephen Kwanche. I may soon have to pay some fine. Prof, forgive me. They say they don't call you professor for nothing. So if somebody wants to bring it to him, please forgive me. My apologies. And I should be congratulating you, actually, for the 50 years. I was in Legon some 35 years ago, so it is refreshing to know that you are 15 years. And Honorable Rashid Pelpo, I think because of some assignments, he has had to leave. Alhaji Tanko, Director for Islamic, he's not here. Okay. And then our keynote speaker, Dr. Okoboy, the CEO of NHIA, ACP Owusuchira, Director Dosu, and then staff of Population Council, sponsors, medias, and ladies and gentlemen. That is why in Nigeria and sometimes in Ghana, they say all protocols observed. So I must say that it has been a very insightful day, and I don't intend to duplicate lectures. We have a lot to chew on, and I think that it's been a hugely successful day. And I just have a few comments because we need to be out of here. The theme that we chose, prioritizing rights and choices, harnessing opportunities, the road to resilient future. I think that we couldn't have chosen a better theme. Because if we don't prioritize our choices and we don't prioritize our rights, we'll not be able to harness the opportunities, and then we will not have the road to resilient future. We should recognize that we all have a role to play in this. And I think that the speeches have gone very well, and everyone has made a very good point. And imagine a world where we have responsible parenting. I was very happy when, I think last year when we were sitting together, we started that conversation and we didn't go on. But I'm very happy that the head of Population Council is talking about responsible. We've had a lot of conversation today, and I think it's going to continue. I want to thank UNFPA. You didn't bring just the facts. You brought the figures after all. Thank you so much for partnering us to have a hugely successful program. Regional Institute of Population Studies, thank you for the human resource. Thank you for the data. Without you, we wouldn't have come this far, even with our population work. A world of 8 billion by 18th November. I wish I were that child on that day. Then I will go into the annals. But family is everything. Honorable Pelpo said it. Family is everything. And population is everything. It determines agriculture. It determines education. It determines gender and everything. So it's a very serious topic. And I'm very happy that today we've been able to delve deep into it. And without prioritizing, we would not be able to do anything. So family values, households, how can the family, imagine a world where we all, under 18, nobody gives birth, or before they marry properly, nobody goes to bring. Let's look at such, and let's just start preaching the message to the teen. I wish I had a few of them here. I'm a mother, so I'm very happy to speak to them. Don't do this. My best bet, if you ask me, I know Population Council will not, but abstinence is the first rule. Don't go and do it if you are not ready to have them. So we should teach our teenagers, finish school, have focus, and when it's time for you to do this, you can do this, and then our money will also have some peace, because it is very costly. It is very costly. And imagine the child bringing the child. It means that whatever we've planned, you have now come to double and triple it. Otherwise, it was just one. So let us be able to tell them that now government is making a whole lot of efforts to bring our budget to, what do you call it, to fruition. So let us preach the message. Don't go and, as a child, don't go and be a parent. You cannot be that. So thank you very much, Dr. Appiah, for that. Now, the best word I'm taking today is gangsterism and mobocracy. They've been doing it to us. You have no idea. You get to the East Legon traffic light, the airport traffic light. Don't even get there with the V8 and the Mercedes-Benz. That day, they will go and sleep with you in the house. They will stand there and they will wrap the windscreen and wrap the windscreen. This is a menace. And it is a, what do you call it? A friend of mine said, it is recruitment center. It is recruitment center. You train your child very well. These people live on the street, and before you are aware, they are doing the gangsterism and mobocracy. The onus lies on all of us to be able to get a population that is controlled. So thank you very much for drawing our attention again, Dr. Letitia Appiah, gynecologists, midwives, policy takers, policy implementers, policy makers, and everything. We've taken it home. And then to you, to everybody here, let us go in with responsible parenting in mind. Let us speak it. Let us preach it. And by the time we regroup, I'm sure we'll have a better success story. Thank you all very much. You've been good, and you have helped me, and I have enjoyed being the chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, our able chair. Yes, I wish you keep clapping before she takes her seat. This has been very beautiful, and then we've ended on a very good note. So this is where we would like to say a big thank you to the Ministry of Health, National Population Council, Unfpa, the Regional Institute for Population Studies at the University of Ghana, the Planned Parenthood Association of Ghana, PPAG, and then Goodwill Energy, they say good energy, for sponsoring this event. So all has been said and done. In an ideal world, 8 billion people means 8 billion opportunities for healthier societies empowered by rights and choices. We've seen why it's important to plan our families and not to have unintended pregnancies, because the two big words, gangsterism and mobocracy, are the things we want to put behind us. So we would like to say thank you for joining us. Thank you to the Executive Director of MPC, Mr. Barnabas Issa, UNFPA Country Rep, Professor Kwanche, and our able chairperson. So we'd like to say thank you for joining us, and happy World Population Day. We are not ending it because there's a vote of thanks that we'll have to take, and also there's a Twitter chat that will follow afterwards. So for those with Twitter accounts, please, you have to wait and then join us to push the discussion online, because at best, we want to make sure no one is left behind. So we are going to take the vote of thanks and then be dispersed from here. Thank you very much. A round of applause for...
My name is Mary J.C. Honorable Chair, all dignitaries invited, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. I'm happy to be invited to give the vote of thanks. First of all, we know that when you are giving something valuable that you deserve, you appreciate it and give God thanks. And so we thank the Almighty Father for seeing us through this program. In fact, it has been a healthy one and very informative. So we thank God for this. We also thank the chair, Madam Charlotte Esiedu Morgan. We appreciate you so much. Thank you very much for gracing this occasion, for steering the affairs of this meeting. Thank you very much. We also thank, we also thank all the the speakers for their information that they gave us. We appreciate them. At least one thing that I noticed throughout their speeches were that we have to make a concerted effort, come together, and then build a resilient future for all. And so let's keep that in mind. We are all Ghanaians. I must also show a deep sense of appreciation to our sponsors, the Ghana Health Service, the Ministry of Health, the Unfpa, yes, the RIPS. We also have PPAG. I must show this appreciation because they have done very well for us. They helped us in all diverse ways to make this program happen. And so we thank them. Let's give them a round of applause. And also the planning committee. Without their effort, this program wouldn't have happened live here in Khaled today. And so we thank the planning committee for the efforts that they made throughout the weeks to make this happen. Thank you, planning committee of this program. And then we also thank the media for making this meeting or this celebration happen live on the air and everywhere. Thank you for that. We would like to thank everybody here, all invited guests, for gracing this occasion with us. God bless you, and thank you for coming. And so I'll conclude by saying thank you, everybody. And let's give ourselves the traditional way of applauding ourselves. How do we do it? Okay. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mavis. Thank you. A round of applause for her for thanking us. So this is where we like to end it. So photographs, chit-chatting, and then I believe there's a lot to it. So thank you very much. Let's have a nice time. Thank you for joining us. Those we are remaining for the Twitter chat. We have 8 questions because it's a world of 8 billion people. So retweeting. DJ, please, music down. What is most important is